Can Manchester United complete the cup double with victory over City on Saturday in the FA Cup final? Can City become the second English team to win the treble? Guardiola against Ten Hag. Double against treble. Era against legacy. It's safe to say this FA Cup final has a lot riding on it for both United and City. And what I'm going to do in this video is run through absolutely everything. All the team news we know ahead of the game, all the feeling we've got going into the game, injury news about Martial, about Antony, and we're going to run through a tactical preview of the game. Do my starting 11, my prediction. It's going to be a big one. Give me 10 minutes of your time because I think you're going to enjoy this one because it's a huge game coming up. And I am nervous. I'm sure you are as well. Everybody will be nervous going into this game. Can United stop City winning the treble? Could United stop Liverpool winning the treble back in 77? The answer was yes, winning 2-1 in the final. Makari getting the winner. Nobody expected us to do that. Nobody expects us to do this on Saturday. But we've already beaten City this season. Ten Hag was clear that, yeah, cool, we could stop City winning the treble, or we could focus on United starting our own era. Because starting in his first season with a cup domestic double and a top 4 finish from where we were last year would be an incredible start for Ten Hag. Let's run through the team news. We know full well about the injury news to Anthony Martial. He will not take any part in the final. I'm just shrugging my shoulders at Martial. I don't think it's necessarily his fault. Of course it's not. But his body works against him, and there's no point speaking about him. I don't think he's going to play for United again if we can find a buyer this summer. In terms of other injury news, Antony, of course, is the big question mark for United. I'll run through the potential options with and without him in the starting 11. Now, plenty of players were left out of City's final game against Brentford. I imagine they're going to be completely fine and completely fit. Now, what I've done here is I'm going to pull this up. This is the team that City started with when they played Real Madrid. So we can presume that at full strength, this is what Guardiola is going to be working towards. But of course, Guardiola is a man famous for tweaks and changes and ins and outs. And they've got such a good squad and quality that you could change so many of these players and they could still have a ridiculous 11. Now, of course, United will be making some changes too. But there are some key matchups, some lots of things we've got to talk about here. And man, their team is ridiculously good. And I'll tell you one player who's going to have to bring his A game is David De Gea. Now, the reason I'm saying that is this. Of course, he's going to be busy anyway because of how good they are. But what De Gea has to do, right? Because if this game goes how Ten Hag wants it to go, we're probably going to be in the lead with 20 minutes to go. Likely only going to be a 1-goal advantage. Therefore, United are going to have to soak up pressure. So De Gea can't just spank the ball up here and invite City forward again and again and again and again. They're just going to score if we do that. De Gea is going to have to try and find his teammates. They're going to have to make the movement for him. Casemiro dropping deep. Everybody's going to have to work to their maximum for us to beat City on Saturday. And De Gea is going to have a cracker. Now, obviously, City's danger, man. I don't need to tell you about Haaland. You know about Haaland. You look at the one game where he's been sort of contained, I suppose is the best word, was Rudiger in the Champions League semi. I don't think Varane gets that tight to him. But of course, Varane comes back into this starting 11. And I think Victor Lindelof keeps his place there. Haaland's just going to make himself almost impossible to mark from a defensive perspective by dropping a little bit deep here. He's been unstoppable. Varane and Lindelof are going to have to try and figure out a way to do it together. I don't know if we can. We didn't away from home this season. But I tell you who's going to be significantly important is this man coming back in. Luke Shaw has been such a phenomenal player for us this season. And I don't know who City are going to use on that right wing. That could be Mahrez, somebody who's far more likely to really hang wide, go in behind, get to this point here. Or Silva, like he did against Real Madrid, dropping into the half spaces. You don't know what City are going to do. So what makes them such a good and unpredictable team. But Luke Shaw, we need him back in at left back over Malacia for sure. And at right back, this is definitely going to be the one of the most intriguing lineups. I kind of say that about Wan-Bissaka in these big games a lot. Wan-Bissaka is definitely coming in for Diogo Dalot, and he will be going up against Grealish. That's pretty much guaranteed. Wan-Bissaka, of course, in the League Cup final when he came on in the second half against St. Maximin, was probably the man of the match in that second half. All season long in those big games where we've needed somebody to step up against a tricky winger, Wan-Bissaka's been that man. Jack Grealish has been excellent for City this year. Really productive, really dangerous, pretty much impossible to stop, like that whole City team has. But that will be my back five going into this game. If Martinez was fit, of course he'd start, but he'll be there cheering from the sidelines. Lindelof has really surprised me in a pleasant way. I don't have confidence that team's going to keep a clean sheet because of how good City are. I think we're going to have to score two. So let's move on and let's talk about the midfield and the attack, because there are big questions about both. Now, if there's one player that I know that we can be looking towards for Saturday, it's Casemiro. Again, you're going back to the League Cup final. Casemiro was the guy. Not just the goal, how he played, how he used the occasion to up his levels. Casemiro's got to really stand out for all the right reasons against Man City, against a team which is just going to be relentless movement everywhere, especially if Silva plays there. Everybody dropping into half spaces, Haaland dropping deeper. They're going to get overwhelmed. It's going to have to be a lot of movement there. And this is where I think it gets really interesting with the tactics, because I guarantee you Casemiro starts. That's a sure thing. And in my opinion, it's an absolute sure thing that Fred starts. And the reason I'm saying that, well, it's quite obvious, but you know how well Fred played against Man City at Old Trafford. The Man United got the blueprint for how to beat City this season. We did it at Old Trafford, and Fred is going to be that guy. However, I don't think he does it from that position, and that's where we move in, because Bruno and Fred, their positions are tied to each other in this game. Antony is missing. I think we see this, right? This is my prediction. I might be spectacularly wrong, like I have been so many times this season. I think we'll see Bruno go out there on the right wing. I think we'll see Fred come into this position here. And then I think you'll see this, and this might not be a popular opinion. I think we see Scott McTominay come into the midfield. This is a risk, right? I'll explain my risk and I'll explain my logic. McTominay in there alongside Casemiro with Bruno playing on the right wing. You could start Eriksen there. But you know how I said if this game goes how Ten Hag wants it to go, in the last 20 minutes of this game, Man United are going to have probably a 1-goal advantage, and we're going to be trying to soak up pressure. Who do I want in midfield for those 20 minutes if the game goes correct? Do I want Scott McTominay there, trying to retain possession and an element of control? Or do I want Christian Eriksen? And also from the start, this game's going to be played at a too fast a pace. Remember City away this season? The game was played around Christian Eriksen, couldn't touch the ball. McTominay, if he's fit, I know it's a fitness-related question, of course. It's about energy, that midfield. You've got Fred, who's going to be a disease, stuck on De Bruyne's leg, just like he was at Old Trafford. His job will be to be the pest, to make sure that there isn't enough space. You're never going to be able to mark Rodri. He sits too deep. You drag yourself away. If anyone's going to try and squeeze a space from Rodri, it's going to be Rashford and Bruno squeezing in. It won't be Fred. Fred will be the dude who tries to piss De Bruyne off. And he did a very good job of it at Old Trafford. And I think he can do just as good a job of it at Wembley. We need him to, really. And Bruno being stationed out in that right wing, it is Bruno out of position. But I trust Bruno. Especially in this occasion, we need that press from high. That's why I think Bruno starts this game out on that right wing. And arguably, if Antony was 100% fit, Antony would start there. And we wouldn't really be having this question. But I think Bruno starts there. You can let me know what you think about that in the comments. And I would rather see McTominay start and Eriksen come on for the last 20 than the other way round. You can let me know what you think in the comments. Now, up front, we're looking at two guys. Martial, not part of the conversation. Of course, we're looking at more than two guys. I'm not being unfair on Garnacho here. I don't think Garnacho starts this game, right? I think Kyle Walker is the best in the game in that role. They do play three at the back, so you would presume there'll be space in behind, but Walker and Akanji are so good at occupying those spaces. The Man United can't rely on balls over the top. We're going to have to play intricate football. That's where Sancho comes through. Man in form right now. A man who's been better on the right wing than he has on the left wing, but Bruno, I think, will play out there. I think Sancho will play there. Hopefully, we'll be able to see Luke Shaw giving some overlapping runs. We need that for Sancho to have an effect on the game. Otherwise, he's just going to get doubled up on by Stones and Walker, and he'll have no space. He'll end up passing it back, but look, you can see there's 4 blue shirts there. That's what will happen. He'll get crowded out and lose possession unless Shaw can come forward. Fred will obviously drop in there as well. There's going to have to be so much movement from this whole team. But I hope he comes off the bench and scores a winner. Why not? Why not? We like fairy tales. I just want to see United win. Now, of course, there are, in terms of game-changing substitutions, we've got Eriksen to come off the bench. You've got Garnacho to come off the bench. They'd be the two players I'll be looking towards. But Weghorst could, of course. You've got Pellistri, who could come on the right wing. And Anthony, maybe he'll be fit enough to make the bench. I don't quite know. That will be my starting 11. Now, you might disagree with that. I imagine you would. A midfield trio of Casemiro, McTominay and Fred. Leaving Eriksen on the bench with Bruno out on the right wing. This is just how I think it's going to go. There was a lesson to be learned from that 2-1 victory over City at Old Trafford. Garnacho will have more of an impact from the bench against this City team than he will from the starting 11. That's why Sancho's starting. In the same way, I think Eriksen, I'd rather bring him on for 20 minutes of control towards the end. If the first 70 go correctly, I'd rather have him on to try and slow it down. Because if we've got a 1-goal advantage going into the last 20, I would back City to score at some point. I wouldn't back us to hold that pressure. Now, in terms of predictions, as I said, this is a era versus legacy defining game. For Pep Guardiola, if they win, they're going to go on to win the treble. Only the second English team to do so. That is a legacy defining result. For Ten Hag and United, winning the cup, winning the FA Cup alongside the League Cup, a cup double in his first season alongside a top 4 finish, that is the beginning of an era. That's what we want. My prediction for this game, I'm going to go for a 2-1 United. Same result as Old Trafford. And that's me hoping. I think we can do it. But that whole team has got to bring their A game. It's going to be a hell of an atmosphere. It's going to be a hell of an occasion. And we stepped up in the League Cup final. Can we do it in the FA Cup final? I hope we finish this season with a 100% record at Wembley. And if we do, and if Ten Hag's team can manage to stop that treble and win a cup double, what a season. You can let me know your predictions, your feelings about my starting 11 there, anything you agree with, disagree with. I'm sure there'll be plenty. I'll be really interested to know what you think in the comments. But it happened in 77 against Liverpool. Can it happen in 2023 against City? Stopping them winning the treble? Let's do it.